Hi, my name is Charisma Jones, and today I'm going to be discussing some of the original processes Isaac Newton utilized during his time of study. So, beginning with his lab environment and also with his lab equipment and experimental procedures. So, basically, Isaac Newton he utilized a small cluttered room, wooden tables. He also had those tables covered with glass jars, metal tools, and handwritten notes that he filled with numbers and sketches. He also utilized a few candles in this room, which was very dim, so it helped brighten up his space. Um, Moreover, his lab equipment, he utilized glass prisms to see how the light broke into colors, um, even as well as simple mirrors, lenses to study reflection and refraction. For his chemistry experiments, he utilized small furnaces, metal pots, and glass jars during this time that he often made and adjusted himself. Um, Moreover, he also utilized scales which help measure materials such as tools like rulers and pendulums for his studies on motion and gravity. Going into his experimental procedures, he utilized things that was very hands-on, and he liked to do this alone. He tested everything himself instead of just writing about it. During his time of study, when he studied during the light, he basically let the sunlight pass through a small hole during the glass prisms, which helped watch the light split into different colors. He even utilized mirrors to help reflect that light back through another prism, which was to prove how he could make the light white again. For his motion studies, he used dropped objects and rolled balls into inclined planes to measure the speed and the distance. Moreover, during his chemistry experiments, he carefully mixed heated substances to see how they would react. Going into his difficulties, Isaac definitely didn't have any of the new modern advanced tools that we have now, so that was a very difficult time for him. Basically, he had to build and modify the things or his equipment of his own. A lot of times these experiments failed, which gave him results that was very hard to understand, which forced him to start over countless amount of times. He also didn't have anyone to check his ideas during this time, so it wasn't easy for him to just go ahead and believe in his findings. Some of the safety issues that he endured was often working with chemicals, heat, glass, anything without gloves, goggles, or ventilation. During his light experiments, he also had to stare directly at the sun, which definitely kind of damaged his eyesight. During his chemical studies, he also handled dangerous substances such as mercury and lead. He did not know during this time that it was very toxic, so that was another difficulty he had to face. Some of his equipment issues, most of the instruments he used, like prisms or lenses, and even the scales, weren't always accurate during this time, and it was not easy to replace. So, some of that time, the glass would affect his light experiments. Metal tools could break down and wear down. He often, like I said, he had to make it on his own, which took extra time and patience. During this time, a lot of those issues definitely gave him unclear results during his findings. Some of the process information issues that he faced were things like the modern calculators that we have now, even relying on the measuring tools. He didn't have a calculator to calculate everything, so he had to do a lot of this by hand. His experiments that he produced did not help a lot with the data, so he was enduring a lot of the small mistakes and overlooking a lot of the patterns. Like I said before, he did work alone mostly, so there weren't anyone to double check any of his notes or help him interpret those results. He also likes to utilize handwritten, old-fashioned symbols, which made it hard to review his work later. We're moving over to his motivation. So basically, Isaac Newton's motivation was to pretty much discover the or basically understand the findings of the world, understanding the natural world. He wanted to understand motion and gravity, like things that everyone doesn't understand on a day-to-day basis. People that always wonder, I wonder how did this happen or how did this happen. He was the person to fully dive into that thorough world of trying to see how does this make sense. Um, some of the expected benefits that Isaac Newton discovered were to help everyone understand basically the natural world. Scientists, mathematicians, scholars can help or could use this law of motion and gravity and optics to help build experiments and theories. Over time, this will help with the foundation for modern technology going forward. Some of the original benefits that Isaac Newton discovered was the light and color, which helped people better understand optics and how lenses and prisms and telescopes work. His law of motion and gravity, which gave mathematicians and physicists new tools to predict how objects moved on Earth. Going into some of the advancements that Isaac discovered, these advancements help with the field of physics, such as law of motion, gravity, in other fields such as mathematics. This helped with calculus, and optics. It helped influence engineering and to help with better lenses and telescopes. Even into the entirely new fields such as classic mechanics, which became the foundation for later physics and engineering disciplines. Moving on to the modern day process. The modern lab environment now is clean, is bright, is very clean, is bright, is works safely, you can work efficiently. It has these high-tech tools now, like microscopes, computers, machines, anything that helps it run safely. A lot of times they also have the lab coats, the gloves, goggles, chemicals that are stored carefully. This helps the workspace be neat and more productive. Some of the lab equipment that are now in the modern days are microscopes. This helps seize the tiny things that we often miss. Computers that help record and analyze data now in the modern day. Some of the experimental procedures. These procedures are carefully planned. They are followed by strict rules for accuracy and safety. This is basically going off a hypothesis, which helps design a step-by-step plan on how to go about it. Okay, we're moving on to the differences now in the modern day. A lot of the new differences have changed, such as technology being such as MRI machines or no, I'm sorry, did I get ahead of myself? I think I did. Some of the advancements is technology, computers and machines, which allow experiments to be done faster and more accurately now more than ever. Some of the protection safety, they also have now lab coats, gloves, goggles, anything to prevent injury or contact with dangerous substances. Some of the gatherings in the modern labs nowadays is much faster, more accurate than in Newton's time. Scientists often use computers, sensors, digital instruments, which help record data automatically. Some of the information processing, this is basically much more faster, as I said before, much more accurate. The computers and software can technically analyze large amounts of data in amount of seconds. Okay, we're going to move on to some of the benefits. The benefits basically help the world in so many ways. It helps scientists to understand the world better, discover new medicines, improve energy sources, and solve very complex problems. In other fields, the benefits that can help researchers is, like I said before, engineering, medicine, environmental sciences, computer technology, because a lot of discoveries need that so they can have the knowledge that they can use. Some of the examples of technology spawned nowadays is MRI machines, smartphones, GPS systems, renewable energy, and even some of the exploration tools. And going forward into the future, I could pretty much see that scientists will focus on bigger challenges such as cure for diseases, creating clean energy, exploring space, even diving deep into the human brain. Some of the potentials that can help with this, I believe, will be longer lives, being safe, being more clean, um, making sure that the tools that we have for everyday life easier. And this is closing of my part C of this group project. Thank you.